Whoa. I'm running short of words right now, but I cannot afford this because I have to speak. Thank you so much for all the. Thank you for accept. Thank you very much. Well, I always start my talk with it, and that disclaimer is that I've never claimed to be a motivator. Yes, I do speak, but I feel more like a storyteller because wherever I go, I share. Well, it is a story of a woman whose perfectly imperfect life made her who. It's the story of a woman in pursuit of her dreams and aspirations made other people realize that if you think that your life is hard and you're giving up on that because you think your life is unfair, think again. Because when you think that way, you are being unfair. It's the story of a woman who made people realize that sometimes problems are not too big, we are too small. It is the story of a woman who, with time, realized that real happiness doesn't lie in success, fame, it lies within. Real happiness lies in gratitude. So I am here and I'm going to share the story of that woman. That is my story, the story of gratitude. I love you all. I believe in the power of words. Many people speak before they, but I know the value of words. The words can make you, break you, they can heal your soul, they can damage you forever. So I always try to use the positive words in my life wherever I go. They call it adversity, I call it opportunity. They call it weakness, I call it strength. They call me disabled, I call myself differently abled. They see my disability. They see my disability, I see my ability. There are some incidents that happen in your life, and those incidents are so strong that they change your DNA. Those incidents or accidents are so strong that they break you physically. They deform your body, but they transform your. Those incidents break you, deform you, but they mold you into the best version of you. And the same thing happened to me. And I'm going to share what exactly. I was 18 years old when I got, and this thing I'm sharing for the very first time international. I was 18 years old when I got married. I belonged to a very conservative family, a Baloch family, where good daughters never say no. My father wanted to get married. And all I said was, if that makes you happy, I'll say yes. And of course, it was never a happy. Just about after 2 years of getting married, about 9 years ago, I met a car accident. Somehow, I fell asleep and the car fell in. He managed to jump out, saved himself, but I stayed inside the car and I sustained a list. The list is a bit long. Radius ulna of my right arm were fractured. The wrist was shoulder bone and collarbone. My whole rib cage got. And because of the rib cage injury, lungs and liver were badly. I didn't breathe. I lost urinary bowel control. That's why I have to wear the bag wherever I go. But that injury that changed me and my as a person and my perception towards living my was the spine injury. 3 vertebrae of my backbone completely, and I got paralyzed for that. So this accident took place in a flung area in the outskirts of a very small province, Baluchan, where there was no first aid, no hospital, no ambulance. I was in the middle of nowhere in that toppled. Many people came to rescue. They gave me CPR. They dragged me out of the car. And while they were dragging me, I got the complete transplant. And now there was this debate going on. Should we keep it here? She's going to die. Where should we go? There's no ambulance. There was this 4-wheeler Jeep standing in the corner of the street. They said, put her in the back of the Jeep and take her to the hospital 3 hours away from this place. And I still remember that bumpy ride. I was threw me at the back of the Jeep. And that is where I realized my body was. I finally ended up in a hospital 2.5 months. I underwent doctors, a lot of titanium in my arm. There's a lot of titanium in my back to fix my back. That's why people in Pakistan call me the. Sometimes I wonder how easy it is for me to describe all again. And somebody has rightly said that when you share your story and it doesn't make you cry, that means you have healed. Those 2.5 months, I will not make up stories to inspire you. I was at the verge of despair. One day, doctor came to me. And he said, well, I heard that you wanted to be an artist, but you ended up being a housewife. I have a bad news. You won't be able to paint again because your wrist and your arm are so deep. You won't be able to. And I stayed. Next day, doctor came to me and said, your spine injury is so bad, you won't be able to walk again. The very next day, doctor came to me and said, because of your spine injury and the fixation that you have in your back, you won't be able to do a child again. That day, I was devastated. I still remember, I asked my mother, why me? And that is where I start to question my existence. Why am I? What's the point of life? I cannot walk, not paint. And we have this thing in our heads, being women, that we are incomplete without having children. I am going to be an incomplete woman for the rest of my life. What's the point? People are scared. They think I will get divorced. What is going? Why me? Why am I? We all try to chase this. We all do. because we see light in which keeps us going. My dear friends, in my situation, there was a tunnel that I had to roll on, but there was no light. And that is where I realized that the words have the power to heal. My mother said to me, this too shall pass. God has a greater plan. I don't know what it is, but he surely has. And in all that distress and grief, somehow or the other, those words were so magical that they kept me going. I was trying to put that smile on my face all the time, was hiding. It was so hard to hide the pain. It was there, but all I knew, I will give my mother, and I cannot. So what kept me going was, one day I asked my brother, I know I have a deformed hand, but I'm tired of looking at these white scrubs. I'm getting tired of this. I want to add more colors to my life. I want to do something. Bring me some colors. Bring me some small canvas. I want to paint. So the very first painting I made was on my death, where I painted for the very first time. It was not just an art piece or just my passion. It was my therapy. What an amazing therapy it was. Without uttering a single word, I could paint my heart out. I could share my story. People used to come and say, what lovely, so much color. Nobody could see the grief in it, only I could. So that's how I spent 2.5 months in crying. And then I was discharged, and I went back home, and I realized that I have developed pressure ulcers on my back and on hip bone. I was unable to sit. There were a lot of infections and a lot of allergies. So doctors want me to lie down on the bed straight. Not 6 months, not 1 year. I was confined in that one room, looking outside the window, listening to the birds chirp, and thinking maybe there will be a time when we'll be going out with the family and enjoying the nature. That was the time where I realized how lucky I was. That is the time where I realized that the day I'm going to sit, I'm going to share this pain with everyone to make them realize how blessed they are, and they don't even consider them. There are always turning points in your life. There was a rebirth day that I celebrated. After 2 years and 2.5 months, when I was able to sit on, that was when I had I was a completely different person. I still remember the day I sat on the wheelchair for the first time, knowing that I'm never going to leave this, knowing that I won't be able to walk for the rest of my life. I saw myself in the mirror, and I talked to myself. And I still remember what I said. I cannot wait for a miracle to. I cannot sit in the corner of the room crying, cribbing, and begging for mercy because nobody has time. So I have to accept myself, the sooner the better. So I applied the lip color, and I erased it, and I cried. And I said, what am I doing? A person on a wheelchair should not do this. What will people say? Put it again. This time because I wanted to feel perfect from within. And that day I decided, I'm going to live life for my. I am not going to be that perfect person. I am just going to take this. And you know how it all began? That day I decided that I'm going to fight my fears. We all have fear of unknown, fear of losing people, fear of losing health, money. We want to excel in career. We want to become famous. We want to get money. We are scared. So I wrote down one by one all those fears. And I decided that I'm going to overcome these fears. You know what was my biggest fear? I couldn't stand this. Trying to cling on to this person didn't want me anymore. But I said, no, I have to make it work. But the day I decided that I liberated myself and I made myself emotionally so strong that the day I got the news that he's getting married, I sent him a text that I'm so happy for you, the best. And he knows that I pray for him today. My biggest fear was I won't be able to, and that was quite devastating. But then I realized all they want is acceptance. So there is no point of crying, just go and adopt one. And that's what I did. I gave my name in different organizations, different orphanages. I didn't mention that I'm on a wheelchair, dying to have a child. So I just told them that this is Muniba Mazari and she wants to adopt. And I waited patiently. 2 years later, I got this from a very small city in Pakistan. I got a call and they said, there is a baby, would you like to adopt? And when I say yes, I could literally feel the labor pain. I said, yes, I am going to adopt him. I am coming to take him home. And when I reached there, the man was looking at the back of my head, thinking that I'm going to say she's on the wheelchair, she doesn't deserve it. How is she going to take care of him? And I looked at him and I said, do not judge me because I'm on the wheelchair. But you know what he said? I know you're the best mother of. You both are lucky to have each other. And that day, that was 2 days old, and today he's 6. You'll be surprised to know and fear that I had. It was facing people. I used to hide myself. When I was on bed for 2 years, I used to keep the door closed. I used to pretend that I'm not going to meet. You know why? Because I couldn't stand that sympathy that they had for. They used to treat me like a patient. When I used to smile, they used to look at me and say that. I was tired of this question being asked, are you sick? Well, a lady yesterday. And I said, well, besides the spinal cord injury, I'm fine, I guess. But those are really cute questions. They never used to feel cute when I was on. So I used to hide myself from knowing that in their eyes. And today I'm here speaking to all these amazing people because I have overcome the fear. You know, when you end up being on the wheelchair, what's the most painful thing? That's another fear that people on the wheelchair able, their hearts but share. I'll share that with you. The lack of people think that they will not be accepted by the people in the world of perfect. So I decided that instead of starting an NG ability awareness, which I know, I started to appear more. I started to paint. I've done, I'm Pakistan's wheelchair-bound art. I have done a lot of modeling campaigns, Tony and Guy. I have done some really funny, breaking the barriers kind of modeling. There was this one by the name Clown Town where I became a clown because I know that clowns have hearts too. And then I also decided that if I really want to make the difference, I am not going to let people polio campaigns where they will make you a victim and an emblem of misery and mercy and will say that, you know what, give polio drops to your children or they'll become like this girl. I decided that I'm going to join the national person and I've been doing a lot of shows for last. So when you accept yourself the way you are, the world, I became the National Goodwill Ambassador for UN Women, and now I speak for the rights of women, children. We talk about inclusion, diversity, gender equality, which is a must. I was featured in BBC for 2000. I'm 30 under 30 for 2016. And it all didn't start thriving and you have bigger dreams and aspirations in life. Always remember one thing. On the road to success, there is always not me. Do not think that you alone can achieve things. There is always another person standing behind you, maybe not coming on the forefront, but behind you, praying for you, supporting you. Never lose that, never. No matter how much I say that I couldn't find a hero, so I became one, I still want to recognize those three in my life who literally changed my inspiration from Waleed Khan. Many people know about the terrorist attacks and we have lost many people. And I'm sharing this with a very heavy heart because we actually have lost a lot in this huge turmoil of terrorism. These people are barbarians. They do not see people. They have killed people in mosques, people in churches, temples, even in schools. There was this terrorist attack in Army Public School where these terrorists entered an examination hall and they killed our. And in that attack, that day, this beautiful, my real life, was the proctor who was taking care of the student and eye on. Those barbarians shot him 3 times in the face, 5 times on, and he fell down. I was asked to give a talk in the school attack. With a very heavy heart, I went there and we sang a few songs. I could see children sitting on the wheelchairs looking at me wondering, what next? What was our fault? We're here to give examinations. So many people, so many children lost their friends. Their classrooms were empty the next day they went. So this kid, Waleed Khan, I was asked in a hospital right now and motivate and tell him that it's going to be okay. And when I saw Waleed Khan coming on the wheelchair for the first time in front of me, it was all deformed. His leg was fractured, his teeth, sneeze, he cannot smell, he cannot. And I kept thinking, what, you all right? No, nothing is all. And while I was what to say, what not to say, Waleed Khan said, are you Muniba Mazari? He said, Baji, let's stick. And with that beautiful, toothless smile of Waleed Khan, we took that selfie that I still share that bad shape that. And that is where I realized that when I was thinking too much about his deformity, he doesn't even care. Because today he goes in the same school. And when somebody asks him that what happened to your face, why so many scars? You know what he says? These scars are my medals and I wear them with. And how beautifully he says that terrorists wanted me to study. I am going to study, I will become, and this is my way of taking revenge from those terrorists. Another real life hero, of course, my son. His name is Nile, N-I-L-A. I learned so much. The first and foremost thing is patience. How to be patient when you know that your mother cannot go out and play with you. How to stay. He loves football. And when we got the very first football, he was 4. He was super excited. He came in the room and he said, let's play. And he kept the ball. And he said, let's kick it. And that day I said, I cannot. And I was down. He looked at me and he said, well, that's all right. Your legs are not working, but your hands do. Let's play catch the ball. You know what? That day he made me realize that when you think your glass is half empty, come on, your glass is half full. It's all in here and here. Last but not least, the woman who made me realize that, the woman who believed in me even when I was the words of this. Everybody left. She was, and every time I looked at her without saying anything, she looked at me and said, God has a real plan. And one day you will say that. She never cried in front. She has always said there will be haters, there will be naysayers, there will be disperse, and then there will be you proving them wrong. My mother, whatever I am today, I'm nothing without her. I'm nothing without her. Thank you, Mama. I wish you were here. Thank you for making me. You know what? We human beings have a problem. Out of many problems, we always expect ease from life. We have this amazing, this is how things should be. This is my plan. It should go as per my. If that doesn't happen, I never. I was always aspiring to do bigger things, but had no idea that for that I have to pay the price to be where I am. It's a very heavy price. This life is a test, and tests are trials. Are never supposed to be easy. So when you're expecting ease from life and life gives you lemon, make the lemonade, and then do not blame life for that because you were expecting ease from a trial. Trials make you a stronger. Life is every time you're. It is okay to be scared. It's okay to cry. Everything is okay. Giving up should not be. They always say that failure is not an option. Failure should be an option because when you fail, you get up, and then you fail, and then you get up, and that keeps you going. That's how humans are strong. Failure is an option, should be an option, but giving up is never. We have this thing in mind. We call it perfect. We want everything. In fact, there is this image in our head about everything. Perfect life, perfect relationships, perfect career, perfect amount of money that we need to. We all are perfect, and that is perfect. That's all right. We were sent here not to become the perfect people, trying to fight this fear of looking imperfect. I used to be perfect. I got this years ago when I used to walk. Oh my God, look at you, fair, you're tall. Look at me now. Only the perfect eyes can see that. Only the perfect eyes will see that. Only the perfect. So yes, in all those imperfections, you have to live hard. You don't have to look good for. You don't have to other people. If your soul is perfect from within, that's all right. It's all what you want. This is all what you need to be. Our society has made very weird kind of norms to look perfect and great. For men, it's different. For women, it's different. We think too much about what we do ourselves to live. You know what makes you perfect? When you make someone smile. You know what makes you perfect? When you try to do something good for the people around you. You know what makes you perfect? When you feel someone's pain. And how beautiful pain is that it connects you with no other me can connect you with. That I'm in pain, and that's a blessing in disguise for me. Today, just because I'm in pain and I'm on the wheelchair, I work for children. Being the head of CSR for a company, we conduct medical in Pakistan where so many kids die because I personally believe just because they can afford to doesn't mean we'll. So we give them medical treatment. We try to, and I also beautiful the transgender community of Pakistan. You know what connects me with them? All my imperfections. When I go and I hug them, they never judge me. And this very good friend of mine, her name is Bijli. Bijli means she calls herself electricity. I'm light. I'm as strong as because we have very bad power outage. So she doesn't want me. So she says, I am very strong. I'm thunder. She came to me, and the first time I hugged her, she said, you are just like me. And I said, yes, I am. Because to people we are. So how beautiful these imperfections are, that because of these imperfections you can connect with people. Then why are we all running after being perfect? What's the point? Every time I visit Big to the Smile, I'm worrying about the things and people who were meant to be with me. And sometimes somebody's absence make you cherish their absence. I always say that people are so lucky thinking. In what sense? The breath that you just took was a blessing. Embrace it. There are so many who are dreaming to live a life that you are living. Embrace each and every breath. Celebrate your live it. Don't die before we all die. We live this 175 years. If you're still thinking why you have been sent here, if you're still juggling why you are here, you haven't lived yet. You work hard, you make money, you do it for your. That's not life. You go out, you seek for people who need your help, you make their lives better. You become that sponge which can absorb all the negative. You become that person and emit beautiful, positive vibes. And when you realize that you have changed someone's life, and because of you, this person did, that is the day when you live. Always. We were talking about gratitude. Why I smile. I cry all night and I have to keep. And I smile all day because if I will smile, that keeps. Be grateful. But if you'll cry, don't have, or the lost, you'll never ever have. Sometimes we are too busy thinking about the things that we don't forget. I'm not saying that makes me, but yes, it is hard when I say that. It is hard to say when it hurts. But I have to. Never giving up is the way. Always. So I'll end my talk. Live your life. Be kind to. Life will be hard, be trials, but that will only make you never give up. The real happiness or fame, real happiness lies in gratitude. So be grateful, be alive, and live every moment. Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you.